The men of SEAL Team 6 sat in silence, eyes locked on the drone feed. Somewhere in the endless dust and heat of Afghanistan, a group of Taliban bomb makers thought they were safe, thought they had outsmarted the best warriors in the world. They were wrong. For weeks, these insurgents had been slipping through the cracks, building IEDs by day and vanishing into Pakistan by night, a well-planned system that had already cost American lives. But the SEALs had been watching, studying, waiting. Tonight, the hunters would become the hunted. The operators of Red Squadron were fresh off a historic mission, the daring rescue of Captain Richard Phillips.
Execute!
The headlines had called them ghosts, living legends. They had already made history. Now, they were back in the fight, and this time, there would be no headlines, no cameras, just the job. From their forward operating base in Paktika province, the SEALs had one goal: cut the bomb makers off before they reached the border. Intel had confirmed their movement. This wasn't a guessing game, this was a trap. The SEALs ran final gear checks in the dim light of the ready room. Rifles were loaded, NVGs were flipped down, and comms crackled in their ears. Outside, the pilots waited, helmets on, rotors already spinning. The mission was a go. The Black Hawks lifted into the fading sunlight, slicing through the desert air. Inside the cabin, the SEALs sat in silence, hands tightening over their weapons. Below, a convoy of Taliban trucks sped toward the Pakistan border, their occupants unaware that death was descending from above. The first burst of 4,000 rounds per minute from the chopper's minigun was a death sentence. A wall of lead ripped through the dirt in front of the lead vehicle, forcing it into an abrupt stop. The truck behind it veered off the road, dust and metal flying. Panicked, the insurgents slammed open their doors, scrambling for an escape. They never stood a chance. Before they could react, the SEALs fast roped down, boots hitting the ground in a coordinated assault. The insurgents scattered, some raising their weapons, others bolting for the tree line. Big mistake. The SEALs' rifles cracked in the dimming light, their suppressed shots finding targets with brutal efficiency. The dusk belonged to them, but one of the bomb makers, one of their key targets, was missing. Thermals picked up movement, one insurgent sprinting blindly into the tall grass. The SEALs locked in. This one was theirs. They moved fast, low, and silent. They didn't need to rush. The enemy was panicked, running on pure fear. The squad spread out, closing in, rifles raised, every step calculated, every angle covered. Then, boom! A shockwave tore through the field. Dirt and fire exploded into the air. For a second, everything was silent. Then, the severed arms of the insurgent landed with a sickening thud. The SEALs paused, letting the dust settle. Someone exhaled sharply. Dumbass blew himself up early. A ripple of laughter followed. The bomb maker had outplayed himself, but there was no time to celebrate. More targets remained, and the hunt wasn't over. The next evening, Intel confirmed more Taliban fighters were on the move, using the same route, trying to reach Pakistan before dusk. They were predictable. That made them dead men walking. This time, the SEALs anticipated their tactics. The moment the convoy split up, the team split as well. Chopper 1 followed the first group as they abandoned their vehicles and ran for the high ground. A fatal mistake. Fighting uphill was a nightmare, but only for those going up. As the SEALs approached, enemy AKs opened fire from the ridge. Bullets kicked up dust, snapping past helmets. A bad position, a worse outcome for the Taliban. Robert O'Neill took 2 operators and an EOD specialist, flanking up the back of the hill. Moving through the shadows of dusk like wraiths, they closed the distance. The enemy never saw them coming. 3 silent shots, 3 bodies dropped. The ridge was theirs. Meanwhile, Chopper 2 pursued a second group that had fled into a small compound. One fighter climbed a wall, vanishing inside. The SEALs had a solution for that. His name was Cairo. The Belgian Malinois launched over the wall, a blur of muscle and teeth. The insurgent, caught off guard, scrambled for cover. But before Cairo could reach him, the coward climbed into a tree. Gunfire cracked. Cairo yelped, stumbling back, bleeding. He had taken rounds meant for the team. No hesitation. The SEALs leveled their rifles and turned the tree into sawdust. The insurgent never touched the ground alive. As the dust settled, they rushed to Cairo, treating him like any other wounded operator. He had done his job. He had taken bullets that were meant for them. Now, it was their turn to save him. They stabilized him, calling for a medevac. The chopper roared in, the medics working fast, loading Cairo onto a plane bound for Germany. The team knew the odds. Most working dogs didn't survive wounds like these. And then, 3 days later, he did. Not only did Cairo survive, but 2 years later, he would return to battle. And on a historic night in 2011, he would charge into bin Laden's compound with SEAL Team 6. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the mission was over. The bomb makers were dead. The SEALs were back at base, cleaning their weapons, refueling, preparing for the next mission. No medals, no press, just another evening's work. For the Taliban, it was a message: no one outruns the best. For SEAL Team 6, it was just Tuesday, and there would always be another hunt.